Welcome to another Maintenance Right on Schedule tutorial video. My name is David, and in this video, we'll be focusing on tasks. These are the essential backbone of the MaintenanceROS system, so let's dive right in. I have the dashboard pulled up because I want to start off with a quick reminder that we list due and upcoming tasks right here on this page. The due tasks, that's sorted by which tasks are most overdue, and the upcoming tasks is sorted by which tasks are approaching first. You can easily see which maintenance tasks need the most attention and which tasks you should be planning to complete. Now, if you have more than 10 tasks in these lists, we have two ways you can view all of them. The View All button is probably the most obvious, but you can also scroll back up and click on the various cards in this overall status box. This will bring you to the Scheduled Tasks page, where we have a full list that you can scroll through and see all of your scheduled tasks. Say we're going to click on one of the task names and you can go to the task details page, which I'll cover a little bit more later. I'm going to go ahead and come back. If you can click on the drop down box here on the right hand side, and we have the option to either snooze the task, or if you've been super productive and have completed it, you can come here to mark it as completed in our system. On the calendar over here on the right, you can select any date and see the specific tasks that are scheduled for that date. Say September 7th. Click on it, and everything comes up as of September 7th. One of the things that I like to do is maybe click on the first date of a month and see everything that's scheduled for that month. Click on the first, see everything scheduled after that date. Let's head back to the dashboard because next I want to highlight how you can view all the tasks the manufacturers recommend are done daily or every startup and shutdown. That's going to be right up here at the top at the Daily Checklist button. Here you'll be able to see all your daily tasks in one convenient checklist, organized by equipment. We don't want to overwhelm your dashboard with all of these tasks or have them permanently listed in your upcoming task notifications. So that's why you'll find them here. Now, I've been a liveaboard boat owner for over 8 years, so I understand that it's not always practical to do these tasks every day or every time you start up a piece of equipment. But they are a helpful way to inspect your equipment and identify potential problems before they become big problems. So I'd suggest that you're at least aware of them and try to do them somewhat regularly. Now, when you are ready to complete those tasks, you can choose to individually mark each task as completed, simply check the box by the task, or you can use the blue button as a way to mark all the tasks in the section as completed. Now, those tasks will be saved in your maintenance history, and if you come back the next day, you'll have a fresh list you can work from. Now that we've covered your daily tasks, let's talk about how you can view more information about the bigger, more regularly scheduled tasks. For that, we'll start over here on the Tasks page. This page lists out every single task that you've created for your boat, both those tasks associated with equipment, as well as any others you want to create, which I'll cover how to do in just a bit. You can search through these tasks if you're trying to find something in particular. Let's say I'm trying to find all the tasks associated with the coolant on my port engine. Type in the search term, hit search, and I've got 2 tasks. So now once I've found these, I can click on the name to see all the task details. Right at the top, you can see your last interaction with this task. So I last completed the task on March 23rd, and you can see below how the task is scheduled. Now, in this example, I should inspect the coolant once a year or when the operating hours of the engine increases by 200. With that in mind, take a look at this scheduled box, or the next scheduled box in the upper right-hand corner. It's scheduled for less than a year from when I last completed the task. So that means our system is predicting that, based on how much I use my engine, May 25th will be when I cross 200 hours of use for that engine. As you update the metric value for the associated equipment, this date may change as we recalculate our predictions. Also, if you would like, you can choose to manually reschedule when that task will be scheduled. Now let's just say, for example, that I inspected the coolant level again today. I can click on this completed link in the top right. Now I can simply hit the completed button, and our system will save this task as having been completed today. But we also offer you the ability to save additional notes down here. This is incredibly useful if you want to remember details about what happened while you were working on the task. So let's say, for example, that I noticed the coolant was a bit low, so I added some. Coolant low, topped up. So I can add the note here. Now, we also are working on the ability for you to upload photos or files if you want to include a picture or receipt as proof the task was completed. And if you want to update the metric for the piece of equipment, you can do that here as well. Now, I've already updated the metric for my port value or port engine today, so I don't want to update it again. I'm going to hit save to wrap up. Now that we're back in the dashboard, let's return to the same task. I'm going to come over to the tasks page. I will search for coolant port. And let's go ahead and use the View button to go ahead and look at the tasks details page. Now, if you notice here under the details, we have added the most recent notes, so you can get a very quick view of that. But if we come all the way down to the bottom of the page, we can look back at the history for the task. Now, you can see the details for each time you've completed the task, but let's take an example, the most recent time we did today. And we can see the additional note we made and the additional information for what exactly was done. It's a really cool way to be able to look at all the information from when you completed the task, remind yourself what was done. Now, once more, let's go back to the task detailed page, and I would like to show you how you can edit the task. On the upper right-hand side, you'll see a drop-down next to the completed button. This will bring you to the edit task option. Now, on this page, you can modify about every aspect about this task. You can edit the name. You can add a description to the task to help you remember what to do, or say there's a part number that's needed, you can add that in if you have to replace something. Now, if you wish to change how a task gets scheduled, you can also do that on this page. Now, our database entries consist of the official manufacturer's recommended schedules, but we do recognize that people may wish to modify those schedules to fit their needs. So you can very easily modify the default values here. Let's say I want to inspect the coolant every 6 months rather than every year. So I can adjust that to 6 months. Or how about if I want to check every 100 hours rather than every 200 hours? I can adjust that metric down in this box. We also give you the option to change how the metric is scheduled thanks to our incredibly powerful Schedule Builder tool. Now, if you'd like to learn more about that, I'd recommend you check out the dedicated tutorial video. Coming down a little bit further in the prompt section, you can select if you'd like to be prompted by default to add a note or upload a file whenever you complete the task. Let's select that we're going to be prompted for a note so you can see what that change will look like. Now, at the very bottom of the page down here, we have the delete task option listed in the danger zone for a reason. If you choose to delete this task, we'll have a pop-up and it warns you that you'll lose all of your historical data. Be sure that's what you want to do before you actually hit delete. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that, and we'll go ahead, hit save, and go back to the task's details page. You should now see that the scheduling has changed based on what we've updated. And if I come up to mark the task as completed, you can see that it now prompts me to add a note. Now, I know this has been somewhat of a deep dive into the details available to you for each task, but maintenance on boats revolves around tasks. So we wanted to give you all the tools you needed to track when they've been completed, how they've been completed, or even modify them to fit your needs. Now, one more quick note on task details before we move on. If you come to the equipment page and select a piece of equipment, we'll stick with our port generator, you can scroll down and see all of the maintenance tasks that are associated with that piece of equipment. Click on one of them and you'll again have all the same task details, history, ability to customize that we just went through. Now, what we've covered so far are all those tasks associated with the equipment on your boat. But there are plenty of tasks to do on boats that aren't associated with specific equipment, and we can handle those as well. Once again, let's go back to the dashboard and start with the easiest method. Right at the very top, we have a link to create a quick task. Now, this is the fastest way to schedule a one-off task that you want to get a reminder for, but you don't want to repeat in the future. Now, we're going to give the task a name. Let's say, for example, I want to wash down my cockpit enclosure. So we'll do wash enclosure. And we have to choose the date for it to be scheduled on. We can either type in the month, the day, the year, or we can come over and use the calendar option. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's schedule this for, April 2nd, a good Sunday activity. Going to go ahead and hit create. We'll be then shown all of the task details, and if we come back to the dashboard, we'll be able to see that the task has been added to our normal scheduling engine. So now quick tasks can be useful for a lot of situations, but there'll likely be plenty of other tasks that you want to schedule that are more complex. So let me show you an example of how to set one up, starting back on the tasks page. To create a task, come on over and hit the create button. This will launch you into our schedule builder. And again, if you want a deeper dive into all of these options and how to use them, I'd suggest you keep an eye out for our full schedule builder tutorial. But for a very quick overview, use repeating by time if you want a task that repeats every set number of days, weeks, months, or years. Use repeating by value if you want to set up a task that's scheduled when a metric of your choice changes by a set amount. Now, maybe for a quick example, maybe you want to clean the engine room every 200 hours the engine has been running. That's what we're looking for. You can do this with the repeating by value template. The repeating by time or value, that allows you to combine those two options and schedule the task according to whatever one comes first. And the quick task template, that's going to be the same one that we just covered. I'm going to select repeating by time for this example. Let's say I want to polish the stainless on my boat every 4 months. Give it a name, polish the stainless. Maybe we'll add a description to remind myself of which polish I like to use. And then we can come down and modify the schedule period so that it's a time of 4 months. If I had polished the stainless on the day I was creating this task, I could toggle this option and the system will schedule the next occurrence of this task in 4 months. Or I could choose the date when I would first like the task to be scheduled. Now let's say maybe May 1st. Type that in, or use the calendar like I just did, and come down and hit create. Once again, you can see the task details, so we can confirm all the task details just like we've seen so far. I know this has been a bit of a long tutorial, but I really do think having a solid understanding of tasks and how to deal with them in our system is incredibly important. Now, knowing how to mark tasks as complete, see their history, and customize them to your needs will make it that much easier to perform and track the maintenance on your boat. And that will mean you spend more time on the water and less time fixing things. Thanks for watching.